Let's get ready to rumble!
There are no contests where both men go in 100%. I wouldn't have thought so. And maybe there is, you know, even the broken clock theory and all that shit. But for the most part, you might come in there 85%. Your opponent might come in there 60, 90 or whatever. There's going to be fluctuations. And as well as JERMELL CHARLO did yesterday, just like other fighters who were victorious, your victory is dependent on what your opponent should be doing from what he is not doing. And what Brian CASTANO wasn't doing was he wasn't throwing a lot of punches early. It looked like he was looking for one single shot to take Jermell out, but I've never heard of him being a one-punch knockout artist. I've only seen the Lara fight, the first Jermell fight, and a few highlights. Jermell still doesn't look totally comfortable holding the ring center against CASTANO, but he done a better job of it early on than he did in the first fight. And he stayed off the ropes more, but he was assisted by CASTANO's reluctance to steam in and get close up like he did first fight. And this is what I'm saying. As well as you do, it's still dependent on what your opponent should be doing from what he's not. Charlo looked like he worked on his footwork like I suggested he needed to. And he was moving around the ring pretty nice in the third. And I still think he throws full power in too many of his shots all the time. And one day, like, someone's going to time him and it could be issues. Let's just say that. But he boxed pretty well. Boxed quite an even kill pace. And, you know, he looked pretty good at the third. Some pretty good boxing, can't lie. And he had to because CASTANO was warming into it and he was bringing more pressure. He was trying to get Jermell on them ropes. And when Jermell was on the ropes, he didn't stay there. He was moving. He was sliding and slipping a little better than last time out. On the graphic, they were both listed as being the same height. And they're clearly not. Jermell clearly taller. And, you know, like, there's no need for him to exchange because CASTANO wants to exchange. The machismo shit, you know, you got to level it out for when you need it, when you really need it in the fight from when it's unnecessary. Over the first four, I'm not really scoring. Charlo's landing the harder punches to me. His punches seem more effective. So going into round four, Charlo had landed 40 out of 160. CASTANO 38 out of 157. Which, quoting the commentator's words, is not up to the usual ridiculous output he normally puts out, while Jermell has actually increased his average. Fourth, excellent round, man. Like, Jermell actually using a good back foot game, but trades more than what he needs to. He showed his skill when he landed that jab on the back foot and it rocked his man back. He has natural power and he's very gifted. It was an exciting round, man. Like, they both had their success. They were both rocked by some big shots. I don't know if Jermell's jab is the difference. Tight round. Very hard rounds to score. Very good fight. You know, the exchanges are only opening up when Jermell gives up his height advantage. And CASTANO relishes that. He's saying thank you. He can't really do much when Jermell's boxing. These two have a chemistry which is priceless. And I feel Jermell hurt CASTANO in that last exchange with a left hook. And look, sometimes Jermell boxes the wrong fight, in my opinion. But this is who he is. He's a power puncher. He's an on-top fighter, and that's who he wants to be. And if it means giving up his advantages so he can get his shots off and maybe get clipped himself, he'll do it. And he's hurting CASTANO now. They're both landing, but Charlo is doing the damage. There's what looks like a little welt swelling under CASTANO's left eye. Charlo landed a great left uppercut in there. And poor CASTANO, the only way he can win is by bringing the attrition. And Jermell loves it. He loves it. He loves it. And he doesn't mind hurting you. Excellent fight to watch. Really good fight to watch. PBC, much respect for giving the UK this on the house. At the end of the 5th, I see Castano doing his funny thing with his right hand after he got caught with that right cross by JERMELL, putting his right hand near the back of his head. I don't know if he was implying he was hitting the back of the head or his back of his head was hurting. And JERMELL's power punches are now, understandably, affecting Castano pretty badly. But of course, Castano's going to battle on. I tell you what, man, in the 6th, JERMELL was moving and boxing behind his jab beautifully, landed 2 crisp left hooks while on the move. And this is quality work. Really quality work, man. This is JERMELL CHARLO at his best right now, people. Boxing and moving. This is him at his best. Got caught on the ropes there. We expect that, but he's fighting back and we expect that. There you go. He found that jab to the stomach. He needs to throw that more. Why isn't he throwing that more? It not only stops Castano in his tracks, it sets up that overhand right. Or Castano doing some brilliant work coming back, though. I'm telling you, man. Castano not giving it up easy, people. Not giving it up easy. He's having to take some hard punches, but he's landing his share as well. I think JERMELL has made up his mind he can take the power, though. He's made up his mind he can take the power. Another exchange, right hand by Charlo, buckles Castano at the end of the round. The power gap is 1 too wide for Castano to close. He's way down on the scorecards. Castano took a left hook in the 7th that perhaps should have at least floored him, but he buckled and stood up because he's so determined and so driven to become undisputed champion. JERMELL didn't go crazy after he hurt him, and he's methodically breaking Castano down. Castano, in my opinion, actually managed to outwork Charlo in the 8th. The rounds are competitive. I just feel a lot of the rounds, Charlo's harder punches took the play away from the Argentinian. In the 9th, Charlo, even when he backs up onto the ropes, is getting his shots off a lot better than he did in the first fight. And he's not even tying up when he's backed up onto the ropes. But he knows what's coming and he's dealing with it a whole lot better. And he's basically disabled Castano as a fighter if he can't get the better of the exchanges on the ropes. So it's an uphill one for Castano right now. He tried to go to JERMELL's belly, but JERMELL, he blocked whatever was thrown with his forearms and was actually pretty patient and countering well off the ropes. His body work may have went under the radar a little as well, as the commentator pointed out. Hey, the 9th was a tough round though. It was a very tough round. It's a tough fight. Make no mistake. In the slow motion replay, Charlo catching him with his right cross and Castano took it, but wow. There's some hard punches. There's some hard punches. Castano arguably had a case in the 10th to be taken around as a very patient Charlo wasn't looking to blow his gas tank. And he caught Castano in an exchange with a left hook and dropped him. 50 seconds on the clock. I think the right uppercut he threw hurt Castano first, and the left hook dropped him. He went down in a delayed reaction. Castano looked a little drunk. Then it was a straight left and a body shot. Had him down on the canvas. We have an undisputed 154-pound champion. The PBC got their next star in JERMELL CHARLO. Undisputed. All credit due. All credit due. I guess he'll be popping up in a lot of popular pound-for-pound rankings now. And the adjustment game, credit due to him and Derek James. See, some people, because they critique people once, they think they have to stay in that mode. No, if you've critiqued Derek James before, in his hour of glory, give him his due. Don't think you have to stay in that mode. Give him his due. Big up both of them. What's left at 154 for him to do, really? I don't know. Maybe he needs to go up at 160 and pick up the slack that his brother wasn't picking up. Go take on Andrade. There'll be a massive fight. Massive fight if he wins that. I think he'd do it, you know, just to upstage JERMELL. I think he would. Challenge Triple G, Munguia. I don't know, maybe they're not doing them cross-promotion fights. But Errol Spence said he would fight Charlo. So maybe Spence could go up to 154. I mean, he was going to fight Canelo at 164, so there's no reason he couldn't take on JERMELL at 154. I mean, he ain't fighting Crawford anytime soon. So let's get it done. You can see by the definition in his body that Castano Clayton trained very hard for this fight. He was unbeaten, but did he really believe he belonged there? Just seemed to be standing there in no man's land, not really moving effectively, or not trying to rough Boots up, the taller guy, get inside his reach and try to cut down the space. And you saw Boots just going through the first gear very easily, laying a jab out there. He went to the body very effectively, tried the overhand right in the first round, and he caught Clayton, but it didn't have no dramatic effect. And in the second round, Clayton was a little more aggressive, and then he went back to passive. Boots switched from orthodox to southpaw. It's a switch hitter, obviously. And he landed that big overhand right on the side of Clayton's head, the same spot where the one in the first round landed. And this time, Clayton got up before the 10 count, but his legs were all over the place and the referee had to stop it. Second round stoppage. And Boots moves on. 29-0. Remember, Clayton was 19-0 going into this fight. Now, the question is, with Boots, is what can he really do at 147? Because I haven't heard Crawford or Spence make any commitment to taking him on. And you know what's pissing me off about that? They haven't made no commitment to fighting each other. But yet, we've got contenders, a new set of contenders, Ennis, Ortiz, just sitting around. Maybe they should fight each other. Maybe they shouldn't wait around. Maybe that should be the next fight, is Ennis and Ortiz. No more sitting around in boxing, man. No more. Now, I don't think Danny Garcia's retired, but he's one of the last cycle of contenders. He fought Sean Porter, Errol Spence, came up short both times. He fought Thurman. Thurman, he's still trying to make noise, but, he's on the verge, in the center of the last batch of contenders. They've already done their thing. And now we've got these new guys coming up. 29-0 is a high number of fights in modern day boxing to have and not have had a crack at a world title yet. And that's because Spence and Crawford, just not happening. It's ridiculous. They've been around at 147 for too long to have not, either one of them have moved up or they fought each other. So I don't know what Boots does, to be honest. I'm not going to start saying he should fight this guy, that guy, and keep proposing fights that are likely not to happen. I'm not here just to gas and gas and gas and gas. It's a waste of time. So I don't know what he does next. Maybe move up to 154 and get avoided there. The ignorant are going to say he hasn't fought anybody. Well, they're not exactly lining up at his door to fight him, are they? The fuck? 29-0, 27 inside the distance. This, in the trade, was supposed to be a good test, and he made light work of it. Castano was 19-0. Watched a few rounds of Kovalev versus Pulev. I saw enough, went the distance. Kovalev just a little more accurate, a little more seasoned, and he outpointed the guy. I didn't watch the whole of it, to be honest. It's Pulev's younger brother, Turvel Pulev. And I watched the highlights of Pulev versus Jerry Forrest, and he won wide on points. I only watched the highlights. There's just too much boxing for me to watch full 10 rounders all day. It's just too time consuming. And in hindsight, I guess AJ's win over Pulev appreciates a little, as Jerry Forrest arguably beats Michael Hunter and Zhilei Zhang, who are contenders in the heavyweight division. But yet Pulev didn't have no issues with Forrest. None at all. Won a very wide decision. Jermaine McDonald, the budding electrician. 6 wins, 5 losses. 3 of them losses by stoppage. Against Ivan Holyfield, who was 9-0 going into the bout. 24 years of age. This was a super welterweight contest. First round went by. You could argue Holyfield did more work. But, his opponent, he wasn't really getting caught with anything major. And in the second round, he went to the body. Holyfield, tall, lean guy, went to the body. And he caught him with the overhand right. And down he went. The referee counted to 8. Holyfield decided to get up and the referee waved it off. And it was all over. Second round knockout on the Triller card. It's not normally the boxer It's normally the fan base. So Bivol, enough respect, but your fan base, the Bovrilites, I call them, you know what I mean? Because they're full of Bovril. But less of them. Let's break this down. Here's what you need to know about ZURDO Ramirez. He's got a very good chin. He rehydrated from 175 in a day to 204. That's above the cruiserweight limit. Bivol, he rehydrated to 185 after the Canelo win. ZURDO's a lot bigger. Now, the German opponent, Bozell, he wasn't all that. He got stopped by a couple of uppercuts in the fourth. Not really much to talk about, yeah. Ramirez's cornerman was telling him, to step outside the right foot and bang him to the liver, and he'll be out of there. And he got him out there with a couple of left uppercuts, but to the head. But the body shots that he did land were ripping his opponent apart. But here's what you need to know, is these Mexican fighters, yeah, they've got their own little thing. So where you saw Callum Smith had his bicep detached by Canelo, and then you see Dimitri Bivol's arm all bruised up, Ramirez landed a big left hand to the forearm of Bozell. Bozell took it pretty well. And then soon after, another one thundered into his arm, and Bozell incorrectly turned away from his opponent in obvious distress. The referee told Bozell, yo, turn around and fight. He could have got himself DQ'd. And in all truth, if Ramirez was switched on how he should be switched on, he should have attacked him and knocked him out. You're not supposed to turn around on your opponent. But what I'm saying is, yeah, whereas it didn't work on Bivol, but it worked on Callum Smith, the arm attack, when a 204-pound ZURDO is attacking that arm, that forearm, to break up the blood vessels, let's see how effective Bivol's jab is in the championship rounds. We'll see. This is a totally different fight to Canelo. A totally different fight. And he's mandated by the WBO. And it's a toss-up. The old school tactics, I guess the Mexicans were doing it when Charlie Goldman had Rocky Marciano punching his opponent in his forearms when they had their hands up, because basically you break up the blood vessels, and after a time you can't really keep the arms up. You can't jab effectively. You can't protect yourself. I'm not trying to smile up with no fan base of anybody or anyone in the media. I'm the old opinionated black guy from Britain doing it his style, old school style. I just believe if ZURDO fights his fight plan and doesn't try to box at range with Bivol, he can beat him. Of course he can beat him. Yeah. Break him down, wear him down, and take his belts. Yeah, he could well be Bivol's kryptonite. He's a lot stronger than Craig Richards, who held his own in the physical exchanges with Bivol. So, yeah. I said it. What? You can start crying? Before you say, I'm hating on your precious Bivol, I don't think Canelo can beat ZURDO either. Not if he's rehydrating at 204. I just think it's an insurmountable task for both of them. I know what I know. I know what I believe. Bivol's not intimidating. He can't intimidate ZURDO with his punch power. He's not going to be on the front foot. So, in my mind, like I said, Bivol is one fight away from one of them fights where it's down to interpretation and the decision goes the other way, and all you Bovrilites are going to be screaming, oh, look at the injustice, he outboxed him. And there's no reason that opponent who gets the controversial win over Bivol, it might not even be controversial, cannot be ZURDO Ramirez. So you guys think because he's not all graceful and ballet dance like that he can't fight. Short-sighted. Once again, very short-sighted. But, I wouldn't expect nothing different from probably 95% of people who are either in the comment section or upload. I wouldn't expect no different. I'm not carrying out nobody's agenda. I'm not nobody's mouthpiece. I'm doing me. If fights come down to ballet dancing all the time, then yeah, Bivol probably beats him. But fights come down to a lot of different factors. If Bivol can't hurt Ramirez, it might come down to that. If he can't put him on the back foot, it might come down to that. There's statistics out there that can be weighed up in ZURDO's favor. Ramirez is 2 inches taller, 2.5 inches taller, and has 3 inches advantage in reach. I would consider that Ramirez fought one of the common opponents they have, Barrera, 2 years after Bivol did, but Ramirez got him out of there in 4. Barrera stuck around until the 12th with Bivol. I just don't think guys like Lenin Castillo go to full limit with ZURDO. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. If I was to pop open a couple of Coronas with Eddie Reynoso and ask him, yo, Eddie, the cameras ain't on. Who would you prefer Canelo to take on in terms of a winnable fight at 175? Dimitri Bivol or Zurdo Ramirez? I reckon Eddie's going to go for Bivol. He thinks Bivol will be easier. Because there just comes a time when the physicality of taking on a 204-pound light heavyweight just not a good look for you. Just not a great look. This 154-pounder fought this great light heavy that you guys marvel over and didn't have a mark on his face, had a couple of scratches on his eye at the most, right? Does Canelo come out of a Ramirez fight that unscathed? You know what I mean? Ramirez has 3 times the amount of knockouts that Bivol has and has 44 fights. 44-0, 30 knockouts. Yeah, Bivol can win the fight, but so can Zurdo.